This is Talk Time. Statistics released by the Independent National Electoral Commission shows that there are 60.8 million registered voters in Nigeria, out of which only 30 million have been able to collect their permanent voters' cards. As it stands, with just 30 days to the general elections, about 30 million registered voters may be disenfranchised because of the commencement of before the commencement of the elections. In an attempt to correct this anomaly, the House of Representatives passed a resolution that people with temporary voters' cards should be allowed to vote. But how feasible is this, putting into consideration that INEC prevented voters with temporary voters' cards from casting their votes in the Osun and Ekiti state governorship election? In other words, should Nigerians with temporary voters' cards be allowed to vote in the general elections? This is the point of discussion on Talk Time. With us in the studio is an activist, Dwayne Johnson, and with him as a legal practitioner, Mr. Tunde Komolafe. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. I think, personally, it is too late for the House of Representatives to come up with this. I think the House of Representatives would have engaged the National Assembly would have engaged INEC long before now. What's your take, sir?
No, I don't think it's too late, if you would ask me. Ordinarily, the National Assembly, whether the House of Rep and then the Senate, is the supreme lawmaking body for the country.
Yes.
And if in their wisdom they so decide that whoever has a temporary voter's card should be allowed to vote, I think INEC should just concede or act into whatever resolutions the House has so passed. I do not see any reason why the temporary voters' card should not, people who have them should not be allowed to use them, except you can prove that those temporary cards were not issued by INEC. That may be the reason or justification to say, look, we are not going to allow you to use it. But if there is nothing to show that those temporary cards were not issued by INEC, for God's sake, there should be no justification whatsoever to disenfranchise any Nigerian based on the type. Because what you are saying is visiting the inefficiency of INEC on the ordinary Nigerian voters who, not due to the fault of their own.
And if I want to look at what you just described as the inefficiency of INEC, it is actually the inefficiency of a whole lot of other bodies. The federal government, INEC has not gotten its budget till now, and we have elections like 30 days from now. Now, if you are starved of funds, how far can you go with your duties?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you that this is not peculiar to INEC alone. Look at, for example, the National Identity Card Scheme. We've been wrestling with that for the past 25 years or thereabout, and it is neither here nor there. You remember that project started during the Alhaji Shehu Shagari era, that is the First Republic, and look at where we have gone now. Up till now, less than 2% or probably 5% of Nigerians have the National Identity Card Scheme, despite the colossal amount of money that has been sunk into that project. So you can't transfer that to what is happening in INEC, basically a product of inefficiency. Now talking about funds being released to INEC to carry out this exercise, I would rather want to see that as a blackmail if that is being used as a justification for the inefficiency that we are seeing. Because government business is a continuous business. Once you have been contracted to carry out a project, to carry out a contract, to execute a contract for government and all that, and then you have all the necessary agreements that have been signed, and sooner than later you are expected to be paid. So, but if INEC is now using this as a blackmail, as a tool to get more money from government, I wouldn't think that is the approach to it. But again, you could also say that the contractors too, they may have their own reservations as regards going on with the project if they have not been paid. Because you and I don't know that once government carries out a project, immediately that project is executed and all that, nobody is willing to pay the contract anymore. It's just to your whole history. It could also be that certain persons who have been assigned the responsibility of producing these ID cards and all that might be saying, look, for God's sake, the raw material that we use to produce things, these things are imported. And the value has been, I mean, the naira has been disvalued. We will now want the contract to be reviewed so that we can accommodate some of these exigencies of the Nigerian economy. So these are some of the factors that may have gone into this, which you and I are not being told by INEC, because, but just like you rightly identify, it is usually the Nigerian factor. We are never efficient in carrying out very, very simple tasks. Because look at it, the permanent voters card, for example, it's just mere plastic ID card that you can walk into any nearby business centers to really produce.
Well, it has a little chip. It has a little chip. Maybe that chip is the reason why it's... But that is neither here nor there. Do you think a temporary voter's card side by side the permanent voter's cards will work? And if your answer is yes, it will work, taking the inefficiency that he has talked about into consideration, are we not going to have that as an avenue of massive rigging in the election?
Thank you very much, my brother. You see, when you talk of the permanent voter's card, as it has been qualified, they said during the election, I think they are coming with machine that will be able to use to confirm
to read the card.
Card reader. Let me put it that card reader. I don't see them achieving that. Reasons. Even when you look during the registration exercise, continuous registration exercise they did, many people were disappointed. Nigerians were disappointed. It was people in the community that went to give them generator to use. It was people in the community that fueled the generator for them. They don't even have enough machine. By the time the machine...
that confirms the fact that the monies had not been released to INEC, even so close to elections.
By the time the machine worked for 2 hours, it will pack up. How long will it take them to accredit over 500 people in a polling booth?
Using the permanent voter's card.
Permanent voter's card with this kind of machine they are bringing. You understand? So the permanent voter's card, I can assure you, with what I've seen, with what all of us are seeing now, the permanent voter's card is going to be used. The temporary one is going to be used, because I'm quite sure that the card reader that is going to read the permanent voter's card will not work. It won't work. We did their system. 2011 they did it.
Don't you think you are preempting the elections before time? Maybe we would have waited for the elections to come and go before we start identifying such problems.
We don't have to wait till then. We have to tell them now, so that maybe they buckle up if they really want to perform. 2011, during the voter registration exercise, the first one they did, they failed that way. They failed woefully. The machine worked pretty like 10 cards stopped. You have to come back for the second day. You know, series of things like that. 2011 they failed. This time around again, the one they brought are not working well too. So those are the area we are looking at.
Yes, sir. Let us take what he has said and dissect it a little bit more. Yes, you talked about the inefficiency of not just INEC now, a whole lot of other organizations in Nigeria, and you cannot divorce that from the corruption that is endemic in the system. If we have such a case where their card readers can't read your permanent voter's card, that means you are disenfranchised, isn't it?
Exactly.
How will that affect the election vis-a-vis this bad air of expectant violence after the election and so on?
You know, even some of the political parties have been raising issues as regards a kind of systemic planning to really disenfranchise certain people in certain parts of the country. Because take, for example, Lagos State and Kano and most of those highly populated areas where a lot of people have registered. These are the areas we are having the bulk of these problems of people not getting their permanent voters card ready. And if it is ready, it's not getting to the hands of those who really are registered for those things and others. So that is a challenge. That seems to be corroborating what some of these political parties are already saying, that we feel that there is an intention to really differentiate certain people for certain reasons that people might want to influence the election in one direction or the other. And then regarding the other leg of the issue that you have raised, which is You talked about, can you remind me that?
I'm talking about how it will affect the election vis-a-vis.
All right. Okay. Yeah, well, the fundamental issue is this, except when you look at the law and then the Constitution and the Electoral Act and all that, you find out that even when people are disenfranchised, it is really very difficult for you to be able to challenge such in a court of law, because if it is a massive thing and all that, you are not going to have a multiplicity of cases in different courts and what have you. And even if you say you are going to embark on a class action in which certain people feel that you have been disenfranchised, will take a class action. That is go to court as a class and then challenge those things and all that. It also has its own challenges, because what the Electoral Act says and the Constitution says is that there is usually a presumption of regularity. If in an election at least more than 50% of those people who registers have been able to vote, then lo and behold, you can say that that election is presumed to be regular. And that is the direction, and that is the foundation in which the law or the courts is likely to look at some of these issues, especially given our past experiences, given some of the decisions that have been taken by some of these courts on cases of this nature in the past.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, before you guys came, I sounded a little bit philosophical. You know, we saw the story of both presidential candidates signing, how do I call that document? They signed a document saying that they are going to do their stuff and discourage violence as much as possible. You know, and with the political breeze blowing right now, a lot of people already believe that the permanent voters card issue is a ploy to ensure that a particular party wins, is a ploy to ensure that some people do not vote. And then you raised this issue of having problems with the cards being read properly by the machines that they have. Now, don't you think this will enrage Nigerians? It will enrage them if that happens. That's why I'm a little bit careful, being preemptive of, of the elections before it happens. I would have wanted it to happen first before we start discussing it, but you brought it up already. So let's go ahead and talk about it. You know, won't this heat up the polity more? So if INEC is listening, if anybody in the government is listening or watching this program now, they might want to look at those machines again and ensure that they work properly. Don't you think that if those machines do not work, they do not read the cards, as you said, and because of that, people that have gone through all the stress of getting their permanent voters cards find out that they can't vote on election day, don't you think that is where the whole wahala will start?
Well, thank you very much. I'll start from where you started. You talk on, you don't want to preempt, you're a press man. So automatically, your own is to, you are the referee. No, that's what I'm saying.
Mine is to report what has happened.
You are the referee, you can't preempt. Yes. We are the one that move with the people at the grassroots. We are the one that goes to the people. You understand? We are the people that move to the north, move to that part of the country to meet our comrades. You understand? Now, you made mention of something, the side pact that there won't be violence, this and that. When Asari Dokubo was blasting that if Jonathan did not win the election, he will start with the Yoruba, he will destroy the whole Yoruba and proceed to the north. What did the president say? Is there any response from the presidency to the effect?
Well, when Shekau said that if Buhari doesn't win, that Nigeria will burn, what did Buhari say?
Where was that?
Come on, read the papers, man.
You understand what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
So now, to furthermore, all those people who issued that kind of threat statement released, supposed to be arrested. Frankly speaking, supposed to be charged for treason.
In the same vein, if we arrest Asari Dokubo, how do we arrest Shekau?
I don't know the way to get him. They should get the person. Don't whoever that are involved.
Let's go ahead.
Let's go to the issue of the
day.
Of the card issues. If the voters is not well, if the vote is not well composed, the people are not well prepared, they don't manage everything very well. Automatically, I don't know, because the way things is going now, the two sides are really moving. The PDP is moving, the APC is moving. Those are the two strong opposition contesting now.
Meanwhile, I just found out that we have 12 presidential candidates vying for this particular elections. 12 of them are running, but we seem to see only 2. Where is the other 10?
Depend on the strength of the party.
Okay.
You understand? The network and the strength of the party determine the popularity of the candidates.
Okay.
I can tell you, I know like 4 of them. Just 4 I know. I read papers, but those I know among them very well are just 4. But the most popular ones are just 2 because of the party strength and the structures. Now, looking at that aspect, the size of the head, the size of the body at times determines the size of the head. On the area of the election and the voter stuff, the INEC needs to work tirelessly. They have disappointed us severally. If they really want to give credible election this time around, they should come together and sit. Those machines, they are not working well. Let them put them aside. If they are complaining of budget, is it the budget of 2013 or 2014? Is this current budget they are talking about? What about the money being released to them to buy those machines? How do they spend those money?
Well, serious questions, but for now, let them be rhetorical. Let's move a little bit forward, because I can't answer those questions that he has posed. So I might want to play the devil's advocate and push the thing to you.
No problem.
What have they, what particular budget are they talking about? I understand that on election year, the umpire is funded like 3 or 4 times its regular funding because of the election. That kind of funding, as far as I know, has not been given INEC. Is that why we are having all these drawbacks? Or is INEC trying to hide, as you alluded earlier on, under that, to cover their inefficiency?
Well, there is no doubt about it that the way and manner INEC funds are being released is not the way it should be released, especially in an election year such as this, where they are going to be faced a lot of challenges, where they are going to have all sorts of things to produce, and then make sure that they also print all sorts of documents that are going to be used for the election. But just like we have rightly identified before, which Nigerian institutions will you go to today and find that they have been properly funded? The hospitals are underfunded, the universities are not being properly funded, and all that. So all agencies of government, what they try to do when they are faced with challenges of this nature is just to make the best use of whatever is available at a particular point in time. But I will even say, with all emphasis at my disposal, that the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, or the people of Nigeria, have been very, very generous to INEC in terms of the funding that they have gotten. It's just that I would think that it's INEC that has not been prudent in the way and manner they have been using these resources. I will give you 1 or 2 examples. Look at the ordinary ballot boxes. Nigeria is the only country that each time you are going to do an election, you start producing new ballot boxes. It is very strange to me. We've been conducting elections in this country since the 50s. And since those 50s, I remember in the early in 79, when I had grown up enough to know some of this, we had those metal boxes that INEC were using and all that. There is nothing stopping INEC from bringing out those things and then giving it to a spray painter to repaint those things and redecorate them and all that. There's even nothing stopping INEC from, if you know it's going to be too expensive, having things like that, to even, as is done in some countries, get people who make cartons to produce disposable cartons for you to carry, because after the elections, you probably will not require those things. And if the polythene one that we use, the transparent thing that we used before and all that, you bring them out from wherever you may have kept them and then use them again. That reduces some of the expenses of conducting the election.
But to be fair to INEC, Ekiti and Osun, those transparent bags were used.
Okay.
You understand? So I believe that in this election,
they will also use that. It's not impossible that 1 or 2 may have been damaged. All you require to do is just to replace
just shore it up and replace it.
Those ones. The other areas is in vehicle, because you find out logistics is very, very important to some of these things and other. I have said times without number, INEC does not require to buy new vehicles each time they want to conduct an election. There is nothing stopping INEC from asking the military, the police, the Air Force, and some of the ministries and parastatals who have very, very good vehicles to deploy those vehicles even with their drivers to INEC. All you're going to be doing is just to make some stickers and put on those vehicles that these vehicles are going to be used for electoral duties and all that. And then after the election, the vehicle will return back to whatever ministry or agencies of government that would have supplied them.
It calls to question the inter-department relationship that we have in Nigeria.
Exactly.
It's not very smooth.
It's not very smooth. You know, you could be smooth. It's not that they don't understand somebody, but somebody somewhere we want to award contracts for purchases of vehicles so as to be able to...
For obvious reasons.
for obvious reasons. Now, I want to revisit the questions you had asking as regards what is going to happen if those card readers don't function properly, just like we had when we were doing the registration. INEC came out with this bogus name, DDC machine. And when they were saying DDC machine and the quantum of money that they voted to purchase a unit of those machines, you would think it is certain big, expensive, efficient machine. But lo and behold, when we got in there, these were just retrograde laptops that they brought from maybe Taiwan or some of these other. Whereas if they went to the computer village in the Ikeja there, they probably would got even a better laptop that would be available to, that would even be more efficient and even cheaper for all of us. But somebody somewhere will not want us to do that. Yeah, so
we have companies here that are producing laptops.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that challenge we are also likely to face with this card reader, because when some of us went to register another, the computer could not pick our fingerprints and another. We had to do that several times before some of us were even asked to come back there. Sometimes they even mock us, whether some of us were farmers, that our hands have become so hardened that the machines could not pick them. They have forgotten that it's the quality of the machine that they have brought to do this thing. So this is where voters' education comes in. Because people are likely to be frustrated, and when they are frustrated, they want to engage in self-help or take laws into their hand.
Let's take our first call. Let's take our first call on the program. Raji is calling from Lagos. Hello, Raji.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Raji Abdullah from Lagos.
Yes, go ahead. You want to be part of the show? Go ahead.
Yeah, my own contribution is that most of people that are not collecting their card, and then because a lot of the temporary cards, the people that have already missed it, and then the other people that have the temporary card, what is the way out for them to get the permanent voters card? Because we have almost about, even in our area, Ikoyi, last week, we have almost about 400 people. Those people, they are some of them, they have their temporary card, and some they don't have it at all. So now we are heading election. It's because people that we are trying to get their own voter card. We take them to the INEC office, and they're saying we are getting our card today, because today Thursday they are starting give us the card. I don't really know the actual time that we go there and get it, and then I don't really know whether it's a true or false. So I want you to confirm what is going on and what is the solution way out for getting all those voters cards. Because
all right, Raji. I think you've made your point, and I get your question. What we are discussing today is the House of Representatives came up with a resolution that says INEC should allow Nigerians with the permanent voters card and those with temporary voters card to vote. We are looking and waiting to see if INEC will agree to that. So if that is cleared, you wouldn't have a problem voting as far as you have either of the two. If you have the permanent voters card, you can vote, and if you have the temporary voters card, you still can vote. But do remember, we are waiting to hear if INEC will say yes to that, for that to happen. But right now, a whole lot of people are still jostling to have their permanent voters card. The scenario you painted is not peculiar to Ikoyi. We're having it everywhere. We have Zach Hamzat. Hamzat is calling from Gombe State. Hello, Hamzat.
Yes, sir. Please. Good morning, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
I commend your work.
Yeah, thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Please, I just want to make my own observation and contribution.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please. The issue of this temporary voter card is a very serious issue. and INEC is not being serious about it. If all these things cannot be possible, can't we go back to option A4? We queue on the candidate we want, and we vote. Everybody, they count the vote, and we go. That is my contribution. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much. When option A4 was used, that election was rancor-free. You know, everybody knew the numbers and the parties that got what number. We didn't have GSM then, but a lot of people wrote it down on paper, and we didn't have problems. But this is 2015. Will option A4 be the way to go? Thinking of taking into consideration the way the politicians are doing the campaigns and heating up the polity and all that. You know, if they put this guy from APC in front of me and this guy from PDP in front of me, will I have the guts to go and line up behind any of them, knowing that somebody might do something to me after that? What do you think?
Well, so far so good in the history of Nigeria election. Option A4 has given the best results so far. You see why they decided to adopt this secret ballot stuff, open secret ballot electionary process, is because those that want to impose themselves in the position at all cost knows that they can be able to manipulate the result through open secret ballot electionary system we're doing. You understand? But through the option A4, everybody in the environment, in every polling booth, automatically will knows the numbers of votes.
I don't need anybody to count. I can count. Is it?
Everybody that, all the people that, all the electorate will get the result. All of them will have the, you understand? Yeah. Numbers of people that are voting. It's even faster. It's faster. But the problem we are having is I think lawyer can talk more better on that. The problem we are having is I think there is a particular process being adopted by INEC to have the election. But
you see, I don't know if you remember, after that election that we used option A4, we had targeted violence at some people. I think that is the downside of option A4. So thinking about it now in 2015 general elections, does it make sense?
No, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. And the reason is this. I'm sorry to use the word, it would appear to me to be a primitive way of really conducting an election. But
quite effective, you must agree.
Yes, it could be. But like you said, it has its own challenges. One of which is that after you have conducted the elections, if certain people are aggrieved, as regards who voted for who and all that, they can always become targets of assault, assassinations, and what have you. And here is a country where we don't have a system of protecting people when they are faced with such challenges. The second challenge we might be facing is that if the election is disputed, if there are issues regarding the election, and you now have to go back and verify who voted for who and all that, a lot of challenges are going to crop up in that area. Okay. Whereas with all these card reader verifications and casting of votes and all that, there has been instances in which election petition tribunal will say, okay, go and bring out all the ballot papers and all the documents that you use for these elections, and they want to go through them again and all that. If you use the option A for approach, that kind of opportunities might not come.
So they'll have to rely on video documentation. Yeah.
Again, the third one is that our politicians are very creative people. Option A4 was successful because it was supervised by the military. We are coming from a military. It was also the first election we were having, in which most of the polling booths were highly militarized. They also effective supervision, to say. That is to say that the military that conducted that election left nobody in that as regards the ability to dispense and then demonstrate the quasi power that if anybody misbehaves, either in the polling booth or after the polling and all that, they can always bring the full out of the law. Yeah. That you cannot guarantee, especially with the weakness the federal government has shown in providing security for the average Nigerian person today. So that is the drawback that I would want to see in this.
Let's hold on. We have Musa. Musa is calling from Borno State. Hello, Musa. We lost him promptly.
So for the challenges we might be facing with the card readers and all that, I think the National Assembly's resolution is the best option that we have at hand today. In the sense that, like I said, if there are no issues as regards who issued a temporary voters card, there should be no reason why people should not be allowed to use it to cast their vote, because differentiated people just because
they don't have,
able to, I mean,
and
the
system of distribution is flawed. I don't think Nigerians should be the ones to hold the short end of the stick for for the inefficiency of INEC.
And you see, the resolution of the National Assembly is like law. It's like law. Like I said, that is the supreme lawmaking body for the country. If they do pass a resolution, I don't think INEC has an option other than to obey that resolution.
All right, Musa from Borno has called back. Hello, Musa.
Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. Good morning. You want to be, what do you have to say about this permanent voters card, side by side, the temporary voters card?
Sir, what? Okay, sir. What I want to say is, to me, the INEC is not ready for the election this year. Because Alivin is ready. You know the problem we are facing in Nigeria. You know the implications, and he knows the number of the voter cards he provides. If you compare to the permanent one and the temporary one, it seems that there is a little bit differences. So for me, it is the INEC that's supposed to demand the what do I say? To kindly give him opportunity to allow people to use the temporary card, not the National Assembly to write or to vote for request. So for me, I can simply say INEC has something in mind to do in this coming election. Otherwise, he might have provided the sufficient voters card for our people. But in some polling units, if you go to some polling units, you can see only a single person participating for these activities, which to me is not proper. There are some units supposed to have 2 or 3 people that will participate on these duties. So therefore, I'm advising the INEC to kindly solicit and look into it and allow the Nigerians to vote for the credible leader, person that will stand and
thank you very much, Musa.
And save the nation from the inconvenience they are facing. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Musa. One thing I will not agree with you is that the National Assembly can step in cases like this. If it is something that has a national effect, the National Assembly, either the House of Representatives or the Senate, can step in. We remember the, how did I put it? Something necessity that the Senate,
doctrine of necessity.
The doctrine of necessity that the Senate had to put when things almost fell apart. Now, let's come back to you, Mr. Johnson. I am looking, I don't know why I have this feeling that if we're going to use the permanent voters' cards, let's use the permanent voters' cards and that's it. If we are going to use the temporary voters' cards, let's use the temporary voters' cards and that's it. If we say we're going to use both of them hand in hand, you know, or side by side, we might have problems. Do you agree with that?
Well, first and foremost, I don't want us to look at it from that angle. I'm a Nigerian. I was deregistered. I went back again to re-register. They gave me temporary voters card. Are you now telling me I won't be able to exercise my civic responsibility? That's the only thing I have that belongs to me in the nation. That I can be sure of, that nobody can take that from me. That's my right. Are you now telling me that Fashola that was deregistered?
No, well, yeah.
He was registered.
Deregistered, yes.
He now went and did another temporary. Are you telling me that if they don't issue him the permanent voters card, he's not going to vote? Are you telling me I'm not going to vote? I'm not supporting people that were deregistered. So
you support us using both the temporary and the permanent?
I don't know about the miracle. It's left to them to do it. I must cast my vote.
Yeah, yes. Do you have your permanent voters card?
I don't have permanent. I was registered.
Oh, boy. But you have your temporary register. Yeah. So maybe the House of Representatives just came in for people like you to have the opportunity to vote. So, you know,
for the INEC that have been working for 3 years and a half, they could not be able to produce permanent voters card. Would they be able to produce permanent voters card for those that register within 2 months before the election?
Something we'll have to hold that thought. We have on the line Mr. Kayode Do, who is the Chief Press Secretary. If the prompter will go up a little bit, we will continue with this. Okay, he's the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC Chairman. Mr. Edo, what's your reaction to the resolution of the House of Reps that Nigerians with temporary voters card could also be allowed to vote?
Well, thank you and good morning.
Good morning, sir.
As at last night, as at 9 p.m. last night that I checked, no motion has been served on the commission. All that the commission knows about the motion that has been set is what is reported in the media. And the commission does not act on the basis of what is reported in the media. So we are looking forward to being served with that motion. But I can tell you what the procedures of the commission is as we speak now. The procedures of the commission is that TVC is the condition for voting in 2015 elections, 2015 February. There is nobody who has been registered validly that will not get TVC, because I think I caught the latter part of the discussion before me, saying some people have been registered and they will not get their permanent voter card. There is nobody who has been registered who will not get his permanent voter card. The challenge is somebody has not been registered validly. Because
can I come in here, sir? Sorry, can I come in here, sir? We are wondering that if INEC can't achieve 100% distribution of permanent voters' cards, even though the last election was 4 years back, how possible is it that INEC will do that miracle in the next 30 days? Because you seem to sound very sure that those people that have not gotten their permanent voters' cards will get their permanent voters' cards before election. And it's just 30 days down the line. Over almost 4 years, we couldn't distribute 100%. What kind of miracle can INEC perform between now and 14th of February?
Yeah, good question. But you seem also to overlook the fact that the distribution of the permanent voter card is a two-way street. INEC's responsibility is to produce the cards and bring them into the public domain. It is the responsibility of the owner of the card to come forward and pick the card. As we speak, there are cards that have been with INEC since July last year. People have not come forward to collect it. Is that a problem? The commission has more than almost 50 million cards that people have not come forward. Now we have gone down to the ward level. We were at the polling units initially, but of course we had to scale back because we couldn't keep the polling unit level structure open indefinitely. Now we've been distributing at the local government since July last year. Now we have, just to make sure that we go closer to the people still, we have gone down to the ward level. It is expected that those who have the cards will also come forward, because we don't forget that we have some systemic challenges here. You can't send the cards by mail, and you can't go to the houses of 70 million people to drop the cards. So those cards have to be But as for those who we just give the CDR, the ones I'm talking about production, those we did their CDR recently, those who, yes, we registered them in 2011, but their fingerprints were not captured. And we said, come back to register. And they came back to register. Their cards are being produced as we speak. Some were just delivered last weekend. Some will be delivered this weekend. The commission is positive that between January 24 and the last day of January, all the cards that are outstanding for production will be delivered. Yes, the commission will bring those cards again into the public. It is the responsibility of the owners of the card to come and collect the card.
Yes, I beg to differ a little bit because I know that especially in Lagos, people are trooping local governments to get their PVCs, but it is come on Tuesday and come on Thursday, you know, and all that. It has been very difficult to access it for logistic reasons. While the main distribution was happening in Lagos, shortly after that, I think a day after the exercise, ad hoc workers went on a demonstration when they realized that the stipends was just 2,000 naira for the job done for 3 days, and they were not happy. And that is translating inside those local governments that the cards are. I know a lot of people within my office that had to go to their local governments 5 to 6 times and still couldn't get the cards. So there's a logistic problem there. The problem is not the people not going to get their cards, but the process of getting the cards are very cumbersome. What is INEC doing to make the process a little bit straightforward, that up to 1,000 people can go to the local government and come out with 1,000 PVCs?
Excellent. You see, a lot of issues have been conflicted in what you just said, and if you allow me to disentangle them a bit, the issue of the ad hoc stuff that you said was actually a hoax. Everybody who is enlisted for the exercise knew because there's no conscription here. It was a voluntary service. They knew what the exercise entails. And the so-called people who protested, we are fraudulent, we are impostors. Because INEC did not force anybody into a service. And you cannot say you begin a service and midway you turn around to say, look, what I signed up for, you have to give me more than that. That does not follow in the laws of contract. So, as far as INEC is concerned, that is a hoax. Now, in the issues of people going to the local governments and not collecting their cards, I think the challenge is this. People whose cards are available and people whose cards are not available are meeting up at the local government. And we made some things clear before when we were distributing the cards. We said before you go to pick your card, check if your name is on the register. Because if your name is not on the register, don't bother to go and ask for your card. It's not there. There are many ways of checking whether your name is on the register. We tested the register physically at the polling unit. You could check there. But if you cannot even afford to go to the polling unit, you can send an SMS to know whether your name is on the register or not. If your name is on the register,
sorry, let's be very clear here.
Will be printed or has been printed already.
Sorry, Mr. Idowu, could you give us the number?
The challenge you have is to determine where your cards are and pick them. If your cards have not been printed, you can be sure that your cards have been printed, and we gave you the chance to come back to pick those cards.
All right, Mr. Idowu, can we get the number where we can send this SMS to make the whole process easier for Nigeria?
20120. Very simple, short code.
20120. All right, I want to thank you very much for taking our call and for clarifying some issues for us. I hope before the elections, when we'll call you again, you'll pick your phone as you did today.
I will always do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Wow, did some clarifications there, but you registered earlier, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now your name is not there in that register. So now you have a short code. Just send a text, 20120. Don't forget that number.
I've done the code. There are a lot of, there's even one they put why vote something 2015, something like that. That one is on website, is on the Facebook page. You understand? I've done a lot of things, like a lot of stuff. You understand?
Yeah.
As I'm talking to you, as at yesterday night, I still did it. You understand?
Okay.
But I want to react to something he said. He said there are over 50 million permanent voters card that people have not collected. When they take you from Iwo Road, they will take your card from Iwo Road and put it at Molete.
That's in Ibadan.
Yes. I'm talking of your state now. They will take your card at my 12. Go and put it at Ojota. How will you be able to locate the card?
Ojota is okay. I know somebody that found he registered in Pedro. Pedro is in Shomolu.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But his name appeared in Igondo.
Halimosho.
Well, we have John. John is calling from Nasarawa. Hello, John.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. You know, the basic thing I look at, we're in the 21st century right now. I've not seen the card readers INEC is going to use, and I don't know how the card readers work. But the pertinent question here is, the card readers, would they only detect if these cards are genuine? Because we have issues of cards that were stolen, cards that were snatched during distribution. So if the card readers will only read the card without taking the thumbprint of the owner of the card to verify, then certainly there will be a lot of irregularities because those cards that were stolen could be used. And maybe those ones that have not yet been collected can also be used by certain people.
All right, thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. You just opened an aspect of the whole discussion that we've not explored. Maybe we should dedicate another 5 minutes to what you just said. Thank you so much. Cards that have been stolen. You are not sure of the kind of card readers they're going to use. And now we have cards that have been stolen. It's getting a little bit more complicated now. So it will be the authentic permanent voters cards from the authentic person, and then maybe we'll have the authentic permanent voters cards from the fake person because some have been stolen. And then we are talking about temporary voters cards. It's getting all muddled up. What do you think?
Yeah, there is no doubt about it that the whole thing is getting more and more complex. But before I address your issue, I will also want to react to some of the issues that Mr. Idowu raised. First and foremost, if INEC has in its custody about 15 million, I mean 15 million permanent voters cards that have not been collected, that would appear to me to be a very serious indictment on the part of INEC. Because INEC, like I have said earlier on, ought to have learned from the challenges that the national identity card people actually faced when they were doing their own registration. I do remember that some of the ID card of people in Lagos were actually taken to River State and all that. And all those kind of logistics problems and all that. If INEC, for example, has solicited the assistance of the different political parties, if INEC had involved the local government in the distribution of this...
Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Right, let's take this call from Usman. He's calling from Bauchi State. Hello, Usman.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning. What's your contribution?
Well, to my observation is the issue of these temporary and permanent voters cards shouldn't even be an issue. Because the issue of permanent and temporary, they are carrying the same information. And this issue should have come from INEC itself, not the National Assembly. If you are giving a solution to a problem, just come straight to the point. What is the difference between Usman in temporary nature and Usman in permanent nature? Since
it's the same Usman, two documents.
The register, then INEC should be the one to. Yeah, so it shouldn't be an issue at all.
All right.
Once you have Usman in the register on temporary basis and Usman on permanent basis, since it is not duplication, why the matter arise?
Well, you're correct. Makes it sound very simple, isn't it? But you were saying something before.
Like I am saying that if INEC, for example, has solicited the assistance of the different political parties, had involved the local government in the distribution of this PVC from day one, they probably would not have gotten themselves in the kind of mess that they have found themselves today. Now, going to your point as regards the whole exercise not getting muddled up, there is no doubt about it that the INEC is seriously entangled in the problem. And now they are going to unravel the problem they have found themselves. In less than 30 days to the elections, I am yet to see it, except a miracle happens from somewhere. But the The issue regarding whether stolen cards can be used, I think that is going to be extremely difficult, in the sense that the one I have, my own permanent card, my picture is on the card. So whatever INEC officer is there to really authenticate or verify some of this before it is used, should be able to pick the faces on the card, and then the person is presenting the card. So I don't think that should be an issue at all. The real issue today will be how we going to get the cards available to people in less than 30 days to the election, and whether people with temporary cards should be allowed to use those temporary cards and all that. And I INEC, whatever Mr. Edo might be saying, that they just had the resolutions on the pages on the electronic media, it's not been passed to them. They have not gotten an official communication. For God's sake, whatever.
Well, let's take Richard before. Let's take Richard. Richard is calling from Songo. Let's take your view, and then we'll look at dissect Mr. Ido's phone call with us. Hello, Richard.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for your patience. I kept you waiting a little.
No problem.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make a little contribution to this issue that have been pending in Nigeria. You know, a lot of problems comes up due to our negligence to what has been happening in this country. You see, the issue of this voting, we have been doing it even before I was on. They have been voting. But we have never come up one day and do it right the way it's supposed to be. Why? Is it the fault of our leaders or the fault of we, the Nigerians? There are a lot of things that have been given to each people to do in different areas. But we Nigerians don't want to do that thing like us. If we run our private companies, you see that we always do it effectively. But when it comes to issue of government, things fall apart. Why? This issue of voters registration, we all queued, we were all registered. But at the time, they said the original voters card did not come, this one did not come. Actually, I have not got mine. But I am praying that the House will be able to resolve and make sure that those that did not get the original should have. But one thing I want to sound here is that this fault is not from the INEC. It is from we that are being given the job to do. We did not employ the Ghanaians, we did not employ the Cameroonians, we did not employ the British to come and do it for us. We did it ourselves. And this fault, we should question ourselves what is happening. Why must the INEC be in every polling booth to do all these things? When we Nigerians will know our problem, we have to do it right. Thank you very much, sir. And to chip it in, please, from the TVC, your guest, you can see what I'm even talking about. Your guest is sitting down there talking without water. You have to do that for them too. This is what I'm talking. We have to do this right. Thank you very much, sir.
That's a low blow, Richard. That's a low blow, but thank you very much. He has put another perspective to this thing, and I think he is very right. Let's see how you feel about it, because he is putting the blame on you and I, not on INEC per se. Yes, INEC have their share of the blame, but we, according to Richard, which I am beginning to think is more right than wrong, you know, he says we are the problem. Yes, we didn't know. We had an impression, yes. It was announced, I think, in a little bit after the elections in 2011, that permanent voters' cards would be used. Civil society didn't push for it. You get? Until we started seeing the mistakes, we started seeing the faults, and civil society started screaming. Where was civil society from 2011 till date, where the whole bungle up has happened?
Well, on that aspect, at the elementary stage of this electioneering stuff, many Nigerians were ignorant. Negligence, we overlook, we don't take this so important and serious. But now everybody are clamoring for change, and this one want to return, this one want to do this. People are now taking the electioneering process now more serious. And aside that, the area of blaming the masses, You see, when things happen, both sides we have fault. But where is the higher percentage of the fault? Where does it come from? I can tell you categorically.
No, Mr. Johnson, let's be a
little bit. Let me say something.
Nice,
let me say something on that. I'm not partial. I'm trying to express my feelings.
Yes.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm saying the voice of the people in most cases is civil society that you represent, and civil society has been silent, as as Richard. I don't know his surname, so I can't really say Mr. something. Okay. As Richard said, that we Nigerians had been silent. If we had pushed INEC right from 2011, the consciousness would have been higher. The average Nigerian man would have known what to do to get his PVC. But we didn't do it until we started finding out, started realizing that after I have registered, I can't have my permanent voter's cards. And then civil society that was sleeping suddenly woke up.
Hello, sir. When Professor Atari Jega came, we all like him. He appeared as a saint, and we believed him so much. Because I listened to his interview at the National Assembly. I watched it and I listened to it myself. I was so much amazed. Oh, thank God, this is our Messiah. I must tell you the truth. Now, they told us that the PVC will be distributed in August last year. Later, they postponed to September.
Civil society didn't make noise then?
Hold on, sir.
All right, sir.
They postponed it to September.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we were expecting that, okay, they want to give us the perfect things. You see, you don't just make noise, preempting, making noise on what does not really happen. Assuming you are denying, you see, civil society reacts when an issue comes up.
And are we supposed to be reactive as civil society, or we're supposed to be proactive as civil society? I think it's a national issue.
When you react in proactive way, it talks to another thing entirely. Your voice will not be recognized. You become a Lonely Rangers. You become a mediocre. Hello, sir?
No, but at least your
reaction to the issues is
your reaction was proactive. At least it was there. But it wasn't the case as far as the PVC is concerned. So I seem to agree 110% with Richard. His submission was correct. What do you think?
Yeah, honestly speaking, there is no doubt about it that Mr. Richard's argument, to some extent, we could say all Nigerians are culpable in this. But I want to look at it from a different perspective. My perspective is that it has to do with integrity, it has to do with trust. The average Nigerian person does not trust that any agency of government, any politician, or even the other voter on the other side is not going to cheat on him, is not going to undermine the integrity of the election. I'll give you an example. All this noise we are making about the permanent voter card, they shouldn't be there. In some countries of the world, merely presenting your driver's license, your international passport, and your national identity card entitles you to vote in an election. Once you have registered, all that the system is intended is a means of identifying that the person who has approached the ballot box to vote is actually the person who registered to cast his votes in this thing. But if we now say we want to adopt that kind of methodology of people being able to present their international passport of their driver's license or some other concrete means of identification, the average Nigerian politician, for example, will start raising the doors that the integrity of the election is likely to be compromised, which might not be. In a country like Ghana, Togo, and other, you will not believe it. Their own INEC officials, so to say, to use the word, some of these electoral material, they carry it to their houses. It is from their home that they bring it to the polling booth the following day to administer the election. But if you do that in Nigeria, you are likely to have a lot of noise and a lot of problems and other, because integrity, trust, and faith, we have no faith in the system. And we must be looking in that direction.
Or wrongly so. I'm talking about faith in the system. Is it right? Our lack of faith in the system, is it because we are naturally pessimistic, or
no,
we are doing it the right?
Also, I think once beaten, twice shy.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Just 2 minutes left for us to do this. Do you support the resolution of the House of Representatives? Do you think is the right thing to do now?
Absolutely, for me, that is the right thing to do. Just like I said, whether permanent or temporary, if somebody has his names on the register, you cannot disenfranchise him because of the inefficiency or shortcoming of an agency of government that ordinarily should have given him the permanent thing. Like he said, you see, voting is a very fundamental right, which you don't just on the flimsy excuse take away from people.
All right. Do you think the House of Representatives is right in the resolution they took?
Well, I think from my own perspective, they are very, very right. Because when you look at it, they said temporary voters card, permanent voters card.
So the only difference is
T and P, it's TVC and PVC.
Okay.
So you don't. It's TVC. It's TVC and PVC. So the T and P.
The only different thing.
T and C are same.
They are the same thing.
T and C, voters card. They are both voters card.
I would have been surprised if you did not take this stand, because you don't have a permanent voters card.
Yes.
And you want to vote.
I must vote.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. I must say a big thank you to Mr. Doyin Johnson. You've been quite visible, and you've been responding to our invitations. I really want to thank you for that. And Mr. Tunde Kolawole. I called you a different name at the opening. I said Komolafe or something.
Yes, it's Tunde Kolawole.
It's Kolawole, Tunde Kolawole, legal practitioner. I really enjoyed having this gist with you. Thank you so much. All right, and should we use our permanent voters cards and our temporary voters cards side by side during the February elections? That's the big question. Yes, you can go to our Twitter handle and you can go to our website and put your take on our site. Let's see what Nigerians feel about this. As Mr. Johnson has said, both of them are voters' cards, either permanent or temporary, doesn't really matter. And I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Richard that looked at the situation from another angle, putting the blame at our doorstep, and went as far as giving me a low blow concerning the program. Thanks very much, Mr. Richard. Let us also thank everybody that called on the show today. Today I had very civilized callers. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you. It was beautiful having you on the show. So no matter what happens, look at this election as your responsibility. And after the election, let us have the attitude that the South Africans had. After they finished their elections, they went for a musical concert and had a good time. They didn't go to their drawers to bring out machetes and guns. They went to a musical concert to have a good time. We shall, at this juncture, be taking a break. And when we come back, we shall be taking some sports stories. Stay with us.